Eye Opener: How the Ultra-Wealthy Hurt a Nation's GDP, Part 2. The rich are not job creators. Consumers are job creators. This is not a chicken or egg scenario. There is but one question one must ask themselves to determine whether the rich create jobs. If there was no market for the product or service a rich person wanted to offer to consumers, if not a single person would buy what some wealthy person was selling, would that wealthy person hire or create jobs to manufacture that unwanted good? Would that rich person pay someone to provide a service for which the rich person would not receive compensation? Even if out of some sense of charity, would most of today's philanthropists create jobs for which there was no benefit to them? I think not, and I think the rich would think the same thing. People talk about how charitable Bill Gates is, but they never talk about how much he gets back from his charitable giving. Come to think of it, can it really be considered charity if the benefactor receives more than the beneficiary? For example, Bill Gates has given billions to charity, but he has gained power all over the world in return, which he uses to amass even more wealth. And is Bill really as charitable as his giving suggests? When his charitable giving could have literally been deemed a matter of life and death, did his philanthropic spidey sense kick in? Did he push to obliterate the COVID pandemic by providing the vaccine freely to countries that couldn't afford to pay for it? Nope. He did the opposite and sought to deny it to those poor countries. Even though he invested $50 million and made $500 million off the vaccine, he kept it from those everyone would have at the time claimed needed it the most. Truth be told, Gates did the people in those poor countries a service, because as far as the pandemic goes, those countries that didn't take the vaccine had and continue to have better health outcomes than those countries and citizens that Gates made certain paid for and were forced to take that crap vaccine. Now, as for the original premise of this post, a few years ago I provided a petition that sought to make the rich prove, or more likely disprove, that they are in fact job creators. First, however, let's examine these supposed job creators' track record. If the job of a job creator is to create jobs, then what should we do when they fail to do so? Under capitalism, the answer is simple. Any job creator who doesn't create a job or creates a bad job that doesn't pay a living wage should be fired, or at least not considered a good job creator. After all, let's face it, the rich, who we label as job creators, are actually employees of every taxpayer. This may not be apparent to most, but think about it. Our taxes pay for any shortfall in national revenue that the tax breaks the rich represent. Put another way, when the rich get to keep more of their annual income, the rest of us must pay more to make up for this shortfall. Where do you think the tax money that isn't paid by the rich comes from? The government doesn't make anything. The government's budget solely comes from our taxes these days. So if one group like the rich isn't paying into the government's budget, the rest of us are. Now in capitalism, an employee who fails to produce the desired result, an employer expects they get fired. The same way that UPS recently fired 10,000 workers, or the same way that any of the other corporations that laid off tens of thousands of employees this year. And what about the bad jobs that so many job creators create these days? What should be done about those job creators who create jobs of which their employees cannot survive? Again, if the job of a job creator is to create jobs, shouldn't they be creating good jobs to be considered good job creators? A job creator who creates bad jobs is like a car manufacturer who forgets to attach one of the car's wheels. As for job creators proving their worth, why not require that they only receive tax breaks for jobs that allow people to at least survive? No job creator should receive a tax break for any job that requires an employee to receive assistance to supplement their poverty wage. Corporations like Walmart should not cost the American taxpayers $1 million per Walmart store. As a matter of fact, any big business that has employees who must receive welfare or SNAP or food stamps should have to pay that safety net money back to the taxpayers. How the heck are you going to make billions in profit every year, but make the majority of Americans pay to cover your crap wages? There are plenty of people reporting and complaining about our leaders and their failures. How many, however, are offering or even pointing to any solutions? The book Solutions: Enough Complaining, Let's Fix America by Chris Osman does and can be found on Amazon or at www.mikesonsentertainment.com. To find out other ways you're being screwed by your current leaders, check out the post on this blog daily. Learn about the biggest and worst issues that America and its people face today. You can also check into this blog daily to hear about those issues that America and its people will face in the near and distant future. If, however, you would like to discover possible solutions to either mitigate the worst impacts of these issues or solutions to avoid them altogether, keep listening. The problems we face are not as complicated as so many leaders and news reports claim. They are man-made and are only claimed as complicated so those who are responsible can maintain control. For example, there is a persistent argument that moving government is like turning a cruise ship around. It is supposedly a long process that can only be achieved incrementally. While this may be true for laws and policies that benefit the majority of Americans, it does not seem to be so for that smallest of American minorities. When one examines the policies and laws that benefit that minority known as the elite or the rich, the speed at which those laws are passed is exponentially faster. While most of us sit on the deck chairs waiting for the Titanic to avoid the myriad of icebergs of which we seem to continually run afoul, the elite ride comfortably in speedboats. If, according to the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal, why do the rich live quite different lives than the rest of us? Where is our speedboat? In 2018, Chris Osman wrote a book highlighting the problems humanity would face if more power, wealth, and control were funneled to a small group of individuals, groups, or organizations. In that book, Mr. Osman provides solutions, offered up from himself and others, to the inevitable problems we would all face. In it, he also provided a means for the public to analyze, compare, and contrast the words and deeds of those we've chosen to follow against our real-world experiences. To this end, Mr. Osman provides the means for readers to disseminate information as provided by their news sources of choice, their elected officials, and any other authority they choose to follow. The book, titled Solutions, Enough Complaining. Let's Fix America, offers a means to hold leaders up, not just to a higher standard than is currently accepted, but to one that will improve lives. I'm not a doctor, but take your medicine. Click the link below and get your copy of Solutions today.